Like Wilson, how they have the law. We have the
Yeah.
offices.
We could just have a gold.
Get him a bicycle, you pedal down there.
Yeah, well, it's all salt.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sodium, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, I think it's close enough. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Smith,
Here.
Anderson, absent, Arcano,
Here.
Burbank, absent, Bergerson,
Here.
Bender,
Here,
Green.
Entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Burbank.
And Anderson. She's
And-
not on
oh,
yet, so
she's
for
not,
now,
okay.
we'll excuse her.
Move to excuse council members Burbank and Anderson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any agenda modifications this evening? Anybody? Oh, okay,
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And public comment. I don't know if we have. Marvin, anything you? Okay, all right.
Like, yeah, Marvin
Carolyn?
and Carolyn, either.
We hit it real quick. Okay. All right. The only thing that I have quickly is if just as a reminder, the bridge opening is Saturday morning at 11. So anybody wants to attend, please come down. I'm sure there'll be lots of bicycles and sneakers. So. I think that's all that's on the top of my head, off the top of my head anyway. Development services, utilities and transportation.
We met last Tuesday. I didn't write you guys notes because it's gonna be one of those things. I think we're gonna see it one or two more times in the next couple of weeks at study sessions.
Okay.
Going over budget, but essentially it was the water system accomplishments they completed and submitted all annual reports to the Department of Health, completed the sand filter cleaning, collected 200 water samples, collected 768 chlorine residuals, installed 304 automatic read water meters, completed the Department of Health required lead and copper pipe inventory, purchased and implemented the Civic Plus, the public service request and work management software. The sewer, they completed the NPDES permit implementation, monthly inspections of the outfall, daily bar screening, cleaning on Collins Road, daily WWTP inspections and checks of plant equipment, twice per week spiked and road lift station inspections, rebuilt 2 basin mixers, and then implemented the Civic 311 Plus. In the stormwater, they prepared their annual reports to Department of Ecology, implementation of business source control program, performed maintenance and inspections of 21 city detention ponds, performed maintenance inspections on 24 private detention ponds, cleaned 1,200 lineal feet of spiked and ditch, finished inspections and maintenance requirements for catch basins within DOE's 2-year cycle. And then in the street department, they're doing the decamp facility site study, Natchez Street biofilter design and construction, and stormwater trunk line Combs Road to Packard. And then the only other big budget item they talked about was they want to purchase a vac truck for the 25-26 budget, right? Okay, that was it.
All right, thank you. Parks and Community Service.
I'll take that one. Yeah, we literally just met like 20 minutes ago. We got out. Same thing. So Director Snodgrass gave us the budget overview as well as accomplishments and projections for projects and things going forth into the next couple of years. So I won't read everything off to you because again, we'll hear this presentation October 8th and the 22nd, I believe. So there are some really cool accomplishments, so I will share a couple. A lot to do with working with the Citizens Advisory Commission, all the work they've been doing there. Buckley Hall hosting a lot of events, 98 events. One of the really cool metrics I wanted to share is the youth center metrics. So the number of youth served, and this is an unduplicated number. Q1 is 340, Q2 is 280, and the estimated year end is 525 distinct children. That's a lot of kids. That's excellent work. So really proud of the Parks and Rec Department. As far as requested budget items, there's going to be a request for HVAC for the youth center, which they're looking at other ways to get that money, so it may not have to be in the budget. Also a new like gigantic lawnmower for the 2026 budget to take care of the parks, and HVAC for Buckley Hall in 2026 as well. While I'm here jabbing my jaw, PCRC report.
Please.
All right, we met last Thursday. We had some good presentations. One of them was on like orcas in the Puget Sound, which is really cool. I'll try to get those slides and share them out. Just a lot of fun. I'll start about the Port of Tacoma. The one I think that is good for us to have a conversation about is legislative priorities going into the next session. This will not be the short session, so there's more budget at play. So for the PCRC legislative priorities, typically we look for like things that have to do with growth management or transportation. So I think it'd be worthwhile to have a conversation, preferably before the next PCRC meeting, which would be the third Thursday of next month. If it can't be before that, then definitely before November, so we can see if there's anything we want to add to the PCRC legislative priorities.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brandon. Council member comments and go to the order. Buddy? Nothing burning? Okay. Guess we'll move into the consent agenda.
On tonight's consent agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 City Council study session and claims and payroll.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
And do we have Anderson yet? No, okay. All right, regular agenda.
Item 1 is ordinance number 10-24, adopting the essential public facilities.
Move to approve ordinance number 10-24, adopting essential public facilities ordinance.
Second.
Okay. And Administrator Brunel is here for questions and discussion if wanted. Anybody? Oh, Denise.
Under the exceptions, so does that mean if they're just adding on to a building?
Denise, can you speak in your microphone? I'm sorry. Thank you.
If they're just adding on to a building, that would be considered an exception as long as they're using it for the same purpose?
Yes, so the exemption would apply to additions to existing essential public facilities that aren't triggered by SEPA. Those would be able to be exempt from needing a revised master plan.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thanks.
so, and then, yeah, the SEPA language means they can't be big additions. If they're big, then if it's big enough to be triggered by SEPA, then they still have to go through the process.
Okay, perfect.
Like
Thank
City
you.
Hall.
Yeah, City Hall.
City Hall's
Large
just under the
addition.
threshold.
That was all I had.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Did you have anything?
No, just a reminder that this is an amendment to establish a formal process for identifying, citing, and regulating essential public facilities. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on September 9th and received no public comments. They did recommend via resolution that council adopt the ordinance.
All right, this will be a roll call vote.
Smith,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Arsano,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 11-24, adopting clean air parks.
Move to approve ordinance number 11-24, clean air parks.
Second.
Okay,
And I just
And-
had one
Oh.
modification to that, and that's
Yep.
in the ordinance that's been distributed to you on the council tables. It repeats what's already covered by state law. RCW 695445 already prohibits smoking cannabis products in open areas like parks and trails. And it has its own penalties and that kind of thing. At least I think it'd be a little confusing for police officers to choose which one. And at worst, it could be a legal problem in that, you know, it's considered equal protection violation if an officer has two different ways to cite the same criminal conduct. So I think just to be safe, and because I don't think it changes anything, is just to take out the stuff about marijuana, because that's completely covered by the state statute already.
okay,
Except that under the state law, it's a $50 penalty only. Under the one you have, it's a $50 penalty for the first violation and $125 for all subsequent.
okay. All right, and Director Snodgrass is here as well.
Yes, I am here just to introduce it and say work was done by the Citizens Advisory Commission. They were very adamant that cannabis was included and made sure I had it in there. So I'm glad we got that resolved and it's clearer for the public. Their goal is to just keep all spaces throughout the city, not just currently only the skate park and youth center are covered, but including parks, trails, and the areas down by Wally's, all free from smoke.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
thank you.
Denise,
So I just have a
Okay.
comment. Currently, I mean, we're trying to encourage people to use our parks. And so I myself am not a smoker, but I think that this may discourage some people from using our parks. And we already have something in place for skate park area and youth centers, so I'm not really seeing the need for this because we already have something in place.
oh, Connie, go ahead. Either or, Ron, go ahead.
I appreciate my colleagues' comments on that, but at the same time, when I think of parks, I think of those places where there are kids. And I know the trail system serves all kinds and this, that, and the other, but what is modeled towards those young people? I have nothing against cannabis. And I appreciate the city attorney saying that it's already covered by state law. And I really appreciate the Citizens Advisory Commission to come up with this recommendation. But what we need modeled in the community in open spaces in parks, which I believe are dominated by young people, would be good, healthy choices. And I don't foresee our law enforcement that being a priority, given all the other things that they do. But to me, it's a statement, for our parks and how we want to model things to our young people.
I did forget to add, this originated from research done by the Youth Center and the Citizen Advisory Commission together. We are one of the only cities without this type of ordinance in the county. And then this does allow us to put up signs that prohibit it, which currently we have nothing except around the skate park, to just help diminish, hopefully, that people won't light up or be vaping and then leaving traces of that stuff throughout the parks as well. We spend a lot of time litter picking cigarette butts too. So takes hopefully minimize some of that.
And Director Snodgrass, can you just mention the areas that you most frequently see that activity?
We most frequently get routine smokers during like our concerts in the park. Right now, we've had no way as staff to really say you can't smoke here standing on the trail, listening to the concert while there's families around. And we also have had complaints come into my office as well as the youth center about down at the Wally's playground area, people going behind Wally's to smoke while kids are at the playground. And so that's really where it started from.
Brandon.
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Smith. Definitely want to set an example for the kids who are at the park, and also, when you're at the park, and nothing against smokers, or vaping or whatever. But when you're at the park, you want it to be like just clean and pristine. So you don't want to see a bunch of cigarette butts and you don't want to have to walk through a cloud of smoke. You want to just enjoy nature, open space. So I'll be supporting this ordinance.
Okay, and Connie, did you?
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
I just,
No, I skipped over here.
for one thing, I don't think our officers have the time to be spending, giving out citations or than having, they've got better things to be doing. So this would be a moot point anyway. And when I've been at the park, of course, I don't go to some of the deals that go on, but I don't see any problems. And if you're seeing things, down there, it's kids. But they have to be 21 to smoke, so if they're gonna bust them for anything, they need to bust them for that. But I don't see a lot of people smoking, in fact, I don't see anybody smoking when I'm down there. And I mean, what's gonna be next? Clean air, that's fine, but what are you gonna do this winter if people use their wood stoves? You gonna ban that? You gonna ban barbecuing? Little smoke signals outside? You know, with what we're allowed to burn in small
Well, it's,
contained area.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think this is over the top. This is just ridiculous.
well, and I think,
You're picking on a certain group of people. And that's not right.
well, and I think what'll be captured in this whole thing, I think everybody's made great points. Smokers that are conscious of other people, they always step away or move, and nobody's gonna, if they're away from people, it's the people, the maybe the kids that are vaping and want to do it right on top of people just to push their buttons. That way, the police department has something they can do with that. I don't think anybody's gonna ban smoking altogether. If you're doing it in a respectful way away from people,
But
nobody's
if
gonna
it's-
have a,
If it's the law, it's banned.
right.
And you
But-
could sooner or later get a fine for it.
Right.
And that's picking on a small amount of people that live in this city. And taking away a right. I mean, they help pay for the parks. Should they leave cigarette butts around? No, any more than kids should be tearing up paper and throwing it all over the place. It's how you raise your kids. And like I say, anybody under 21, it's illegal for them to have any of that stuff, so.
Yep, I don't think the police department will be overwhelmed with calls, but for the rare people that are really abusing it, I think we'll have something we can do with that. If we ever use it at all, at least there's a tool there that they can use. I'm sure it won't be overutilized. Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, there is a provision in here. It says an enforcement officer shall make good faith effort to warn persons observed to be in a first time violation. So it's not like our officers going to just be like patrolling the park looking for smokers. It just gives us a way to put signs up and try to control something that could become an issue, especially as we get the bridge opened up and we may have more foot traffic in. So I don't think this is going to be a big drain on our police at all. I just think it's a good mechanism to have to keep our parks clean and set good examples for our kids.
Anybody else? Yeah, Kenny.
So when you say parks, from the log show grounds all the way to starting the Buckley Straits, essentially?
The trail system, yeah.
The log show grounds aren't considered park. It's an entertainment facility, so that wouldn't be
So they can
into
go
the
all over there
ordinance.
and smoke.
So I was just mean like log show when they all step out and smoke, you know what I mean? They're not.
That's technically not zoned parked right now,
No.
so that's fine.
It does say the entire trail though, so.
Yeah.
Onto
It would
the
be
trail
along the
would
trail.
be.
Yeah, within X
But
feet
not
of the
the
trail.
log show ground specifically, and during the period of the log show. That is leased specifically by the ground, so it's not even city property.
Ron?
So let's think about parks we currently have, and it's been in conversation and in the process, pretty much my entire time on council, and I'm in my 7th year, Miller Park, a community park. Who is going to be in Miller Park? Kids. Maybe if they're little, their parents will come along. They should not be smoking there, modeling that behavior for those kids. And this is called, and again, I have nothing against anybody who's I think smoking cigarettes is went out of the fashion, it's like so 1990s. I mean, I don't know. You got vapes, you got this, you don't need to be smoking. You can't go to, we can't all get in a bus and go to, T-Mobile Park to the Mariners game and smoke there because they said we can't. We have every right to say you can't smoke in our parks here. And you're exactly right, Mayor. Responsible smokers, if they're still people who smoke. I'm a cigar smoker and I'm not taking the thing that takes me half an hour to an hour to smoke somewhere in public. I sit on my own deck. Responsible smokers will step away. Log show, they will do the exact same thing. We're talking about tunes on the trail, talking about potential Miller Park. We're talking about parks behind Wally's where every person deserves the right to breathe clean air, especially young people whose lungs are not fully developed until they're like 25 years old. That's what this is about.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Thanks, Aaron. Okay, this will be a roll call vote.
Smith,
Aye.
Parsano,
Aye.
Bender,
No,
Ferguson,
No,
Green.
I,
Three.
We have a 3-2
Yep.
of the members present.
It has to be a majority of membership of the council to pass an ordinance, so you need 4 votes. Yeah,
Okay.
so it fails.
All right. That's Treva. Motion fails.
Motion fails, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Okay, city administrator update.
I'm going to start by deferring to our city attorney, who's going to lead a conversation regarding reviewing options for no camping in public places.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's been, obviously, it's been a hot topic in the press. A lot of you probably read about the Grants Pass decision from the United States Supreme Court. Which before that decision came out, essentially, it was very difficult for cities to ban camping within their jurisdictions. Two decisions actually that created a problem. One was out of Boise, Idaho, the other one was Grants Pass. And what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled for their ordinances was that you couldn't ban camping for people who had nowhere to go. So the way that the police had to enforce their camping bans in those two cities was they had to figure out if there were available beds at the local shelters. And if there were no available beds, they couldn't tell people that they had to move. So that decision has been thrown out now. And the basis of that decision on the Ninth Court of Appeals was that it was cruel and unusual punishment to punish people for just sleeping, not having anywhere to go. And our United States Supreme Court said the cruel and unusual punishment was not intended to address that kind of situation. It was intended to address things like drawn and quartering and setting people on fire, just punishment that was just too cruel. It had nothing to do with homelessness. But what's a little scary about that United States Supreme Court decision is that the justices were kind of like, yeah, it doesn't violate cruel and unusual punishment, but it could violate due process, or they had a laundry list of other ways that it could be a problem. So this could still come up again under some other legal theory that cities and counties shouldn't do it. But as it stands right now, there's nothing on the legal books that say you can't ban camping entirely within your jurisdiction. I think it's kind of telling, though, that Grants Pass itself, once they won in the U.S. Supreme Court, decided to still allow camping in certain parts of the city. They still wanted to have some areas where people could go and sleep, because I suspect part of that might have been political, but I suspect the other part is because they knew there'll be other legal obstacles down the line. Now, I think that the city here could adopt a complete ban and then just, wait and see what happens. And then if some decision comes out, we just run and modify it real quick, to make sure that we're okay. I mean, like I always tell my small clients, let Seattle be the bellwether state to test the legal theory, let's not spend our money on that. But if you want to be really strict at the outset, I don't think you're taking a huge risk, because you can change it, if you need to. Because like I said, the law right now is there's no obstacle to doing it. Courtney and I were looking at an ordinance from Kelso, which seemed to kind of address the objectives of the city council. My understanding is the council wanted at least initially to ban parking in the trails and the parks. And I don't think there's any problem in doing that. And that's what the council ordinance does exactly. What the council ordinance essentially bans, that putting up tents anywhere, sleeping in your car, anything that would, generally be considered camping. What it does though, which is kind of interesting, is with the council, and this is before the grants passed, decision came out, is they do allow you to sleep in your car during night hours. They allow you to apparently pitch tents on the road during night hours, but you have to get rid of those tents during the day. So, but that would be, obviously like I said, you can ban camping altogether if you want, but I think the council ordinance would be a good starting point to figure out how you want to address the situation, how tough you want to be in this community.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Phil. Anybody like to speak to that, or? I know, I mean, just from my perspective anyway, I mean, we've all been to other larger cities and we see folks pitching tents right in the middle of the sidewalk. The road seems like a really bad idea. The sidewalk's not a good idea either, but that's something we can certainly explore, and I appreciate that. That, Kelso, might be something we can tweak, or at least a starting point. Yeah. Anybody else want to make a run at that? Not tonight? Okay.
Okay, we'll bring a draft ordinance forward at a study session for additional discussion. It'll be modeled off of the Kelso ordinance, then we can modify to your preference.
Sounds good.
Only other update for me tonight is that we received notification today that we did get the grant from Department of Commerce for the paperless. So that is $80,000 saved for the general fund for our new permitting software, as well as the implementation for Laserfiche. So great job to our planning and building department. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. And I was going to. I had one thing I was gonna add. Maybe can you touch on I thought it was in my text, but the grant, we have the grant, but for the WashDOT traffic survey.
Mhm. We have, we are working with Gray and Osborne, our engineering firm, for the 2 grant awards that we've received. Well, 1 grant award and 1 direct appropriation from the state of Washington out of their supplemental transportation budget, both of which equal $250,000. So a combined total of $500,000 to address the 410 corridor. So for the planning study, step 1 is just an evaluation of the problem. And Gray and Osborne has solicited proposals, received responses back from 2 firms, neither of which have been involved with the 410 corridor. So we'll be looking to select one of those firms to help us with developing that initial problem statement. From that, they will provide recommendations based off of whatever their analysis is, as well as the 2018 parametric study, which concluded that they would recommend roundabouts along the corridor. At the conclusion of spending that $500,000, our hope is that we've identified the problem and that we have a plan to address it, and that there is hopefully a portion of that that is designed. So we have 2 years to expend those dollars, the remainder of this year into next year, and it could possibly be extended, but our plan is to have the study and a lot of that work complete by the end of next year. And at what point we will start soliciting for additional construction dollars in theory, because we would have, again, identified that problem and then planned for phase 1 of the project.
Okay. And Parametrics.
Parametrics did the original 2018 study. Heath and Associates and Transportation Solutions, I think, was the other one that are the responses to the city engineers.
Yeah.
Request for proposals.
So my hope is, just so you guys are all aware, my hope is, or my ask of whoever we choose, is to start from square one. Parametrics was great. Probably when they did it, traffic of course has increased. But there's something we don't know, in my opinion, there's something we don't know. Because on any random Friday, Wednesday, you don't touch the brakes and you fly right through. There's something that's starting to chain reaction. So we need to find out what that is. We may not have to do a roundabout, or we will still do a roundabout, but there's something we can do in the meantime, because it's going to take us a couple of years to get that built, planned and paid for and all that. So anyway, my ask of them is to start at square one. Let's identify the absolute problems and what we can do in the meantime. And then of course, a construction solution as well. So Ron.
I will say that while it is a humongous inconvenience to me, living on the west side of 410. I understand why it's an inconvenience to me to have to sit there and wait for that light to turn. It is keeping 410 moving. And it would be the same thing for somebody on the east side trying to go to the west side. I mean, they're doing the best they can with what we have. And again, 167 is a mess. People who work north and have to come back to the plateau aren't dumb. I was never dumb. You come back through Auburn, 164, and you cut around, and here's what we do. And because you're not going to sit on 167 because it is a nightmare. And so far what they're doing, and you're exactly right, Mayor, one day at 2:30, 3 o'clock, you can shoot the Enumclaw and come back and it's like nothing ever happened. And just a random day, it's like, oh, wow, where did all these cars come from? There's no rhyme or any reason, but at least the state, or I take it's the state controlling the traffic lights. I have no problem sitting there for 4 minutes. So this can go this way if I have to get out. And that's just what we have to do.
I believe we're currently at 60 seconds and I asked them to push it to 120 seconds of green, and that you would have thought I asked them to fly to the moon. There's no way, no how. We won't even entertain it. So we've been working on that. In the meantime, I've been working on that, but this is kind of starting from square one. We're paying for it. Well, with help, we're paying for it. And so we're going to get the problem identified. Hopefully, maybe the school buses are triggering it, some of it. Kids crossing on foot, that delays that signal that much longer because people in a wheelchair have to have time. All those kinds of things, they'll identify those things and we can get to work hopefully sooner rather than later. But we're right on top of that now. The RFP is out, and so now we just need to choose somebody and get them out here working. So anybody else have anything? Oh, and public comment, one more round of.
Yes, we have
Oh.
Amy Boucher from Buckley Downtown Association who would like to speak.
Okay. Go ahead, Amy.
Hi, good evening, council. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I know tonight is, I was a little confused as to if the CLG ordinance or draft ordinance was going to be on the agenda today. I think that was a work session discussion last week. If I'm correct. And I just wanted to let you guys know that, the Buckley Downtown Association has been actively helping local private property owners get historic designation through the state and get on the state registry. As well, we have some historic preservation projects coming up, some private owners putting in for various historic grants. As well as working with them to use them as an example for, moving forward with getting other properties on the state historic registry. It's a really exciting time. Last month, I shared an email with Courtney regarding the 691 Main Street, which is Brad and Kelsey Kaline's building where the vanity is currently. It was, you guys are familiar with that application and approval. So that's exciting. And we're working with the Foothills Historical Society as well to continue to, do our due diligence to preserve the history in Buckley, not just with the buildings, but the community aspect of that as well, and the cultural heritage. Preserving that small town charm. So I know with discussions coming up, it looks like there's a meeting next week with the Citizen Advisory Committee. So unfortunately, I'm unavailable on Mondays, but I'm going to try to make it to where I can attend the meeting to at least be a part of those discussions. We've through this process of helping the private property owners, you know, we've got resources through the Washington Main Street. We've got connections at the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. I'm on the Pierce County Landmarks and Historic Places Commission. So we definitely have our hands in historic preservation, and I just want you guys to know, let the council know that we definitely are on top of this topic, and, you know, would love to be at the table when those discussions happen, whether that's, you know, through just notifying us that meeting's happening that has that topic discussion, and we'll do our best to be there and contribute and collaborate in any way that we can. You know, currently, if you guys aren't already aware, the Downtown Association is a volunteer 100% ran board now of directors. So, you know, everybody's time is pretty thin there, but we're all doing our part. Lorna Anderson, as well as myself, are working on the historic preservation projects and efforts. So yeah, with that, I just wanted to let you guys know that we're still here, we're still doing things. We want to be involved, and if you need any support or resources, we're definitely here to help.
Great. Thanks, Amy.
And now Megan Rhodes has raised her hand.
Okay. Megan, go ahead.
Hold on,
Oh.
I have to allow her to speak.
Just 1 second if you can hear me.
She should be.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Thank you. I apologize for not being there, but I was desperate to get my lawn mowed tonight, so that had to be my priority. Really quick, 2 comments on the 2 ordinances that came before you today. I want to start by saying that I personally am adamantly opposed to smoking in public spaces, and vaping is, you know, that next level up. But I also think the conversation that happened at your table is a good example of how ordinances like this can be applied in an uneven fashion. And so to explain that to you, it was a little bit amusing to hear the concerts in the parks kind of addressed as being a place of concern where people might misbehave in comparison to the people who attend the log show, which I love, but in 20 years of living a block off of Main Street, I can't count the number of people who passed out in my front yard because they were so drunk leaving the log show. So I don't know if I would categorize them as being the super responsible group there, but that's, you know, maybe that's all changed. The second thing I wanted to address was the second ordinance about the camping. And again, personally, I had someone who was a squatter on my property, and it took me 6 months to get them off. So I am very understanding of this. But also, I will be joining on Saturday a cleanup in Carbon Canyon. And so, you know, just awareness that getting people off of the sidewalks or streets or parks in Buckley just moves the problem. And if the small towns in this area could come together on solving that, that might be a really powerful thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Okay. That
That's all I got.
okay. Did that spark anybody else? Anybody want to speak? Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council.